Now, if you have been benefiting from a government scheme to cap bus fares at just £2, here's some good news. The trial is being extended until June.
But not everybody's happy about this. Ben's at the breakfast bus stop to tell us more. Just explain why some people...
Yeah, I've been here all morning, still no sign of a bus. I'm still waiting, John, still waiting, Sally. Let me explain the details of this scheme. It's one that affects a lot of people, actually. Yeah, many of us have relied on buses at some point in our lives, whether that's to get to school, to work, evenings out, for other reasons it could be as well. They are the most used and the cheapest form of public transport in the country, but the number of routes and passengers have been falling, partly due to the coronavirus pandemic. So a scheme that caps single fares on routes operated by 130 bus companies outside London will be extended for a further 3 months. This is after it was due to end in March. It'll be backed by up to £75 million of government funding, and it's aimed at getting more people using the bus, particularly on the longer and often more rural routes. In West Yorkshire, Greater Manchester and Liverpool, the mayors have already introduced a fare cap of £2 as part of longer-term transport schemes. However, passenger groups say that without the extension of this funding, bus operators could have been forced to cancel up to 15% of services. In fact, BBC analysis of data from the Department for Transport shows that in the 5 years up to 2022, the British bus network was reduced by an estimated 14%. That's around 1 in 7 bus routes gone. Companies say that although passenger numbers are now growing, they are still below pre-pandemic levels, and as a result, the less busy and more costly routes will always be at risk. But what impact does that have on people who rely on them? The BBC's transport correspondent Katie Austin has been to Leicestershire and North Yorkshire, 2 counties that have seen significant reductions in services.
The only bus that stops in the Leicestershire village of Stapleton is the 159.
Hello.
John catches it most days to the nearest town of Hinckley for things like shopping.
I've got my phone if you need me. OK, catch you later then.
In 2 weeks' time, the 159 is being axed.
I, like probably many more people, will be lost when it's gone, devastated. I'm 24/7 carer, and it's nice to think, I want to get out for an hour. I can go and get the bus, go downtown, even if I don't want to buy anything. The point is, it's taking independence away from a lot of people.
In Hinckley, we also found passengers angry at the decision.
There is people like me that do rely on a bus still, that don't drive.
I don't want to have a car, but I'm having to consider it.
The bus operator says it can't continue this particular route because council subsidy has been withdrawn.
We are currently subsidising that bus to the tune of £162,000 per year. Passenger numbers have not got back to where there was, and our council funds are very low and we're struggling.
The council will offer an alternative bookable form of transport for essential trips, but it won't be a like-for-like replacement. Over the 5 years to last March, Leicestershire's bus network saw one of England's highest percentage falls, about 50%. But up and down the country, people are finding their service has disappeared or reduced. The 128 bus through North Yorkshire, a commercially funded route, now only runs every 2 hours and misses out the village of Ruston.
So the older residents are having to walk up through the village, and it's a very steep hill, down the main road, which is a really fast-moving road, to the bus stop, carrying the shopping.
The bus companies say they're still getting fewer passengers than before the pandemic, and they've had to cope with rising costs. I'm going to get on this bus to speak to the man who runs one operator here in Yorkshire. Hello, Ben.
Hi, how are you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Yeah, all good, thanks. It is very much about money. Ultimately, we are a labour-intensive business. The last 2 years, we've increased our driver wages by 25% in order to remain competitive. Our utilities costs have gone up, so gas and electric, like we have for everybody, as well as parts for repairing vehicles, and we're expecting our fuel costs to go up as we go further into this year as well.
He says this reduced route is now covering its costs. The Department for Transport said it had now invested more than £2 billion in supporting the industry since the pandemic began, and extended a temporary £2 cap on single fares across England until the end of June. Along the 128 route is Pickering, where residents are fighting to keep another bus, the 840.
There's a possibility it might go. What would that mean for you?
I'd have to quit my job because I don't drive, so I have no other transport.
I've got
a job to try and, gain the money for driving lessons, but everything's just gone up so much.
North Yorkshire County Council hopes this route can be saved. Many people around the country have watched their bus depart for the last time. Katie Austin, BBC News.
And thanks to those of you who've emailed with your experiences. Just one, Sally and John, that highlights this. Sarah in a suburb of Northampton said they've gone from 4 buses an hour to none at all. Council blames the bus company blames the council. Just one example there to illustrate the situation.
Really tricky, Ben. Thank you.
Lots of you